Oh, and was I wrong? Hey, does anybody want to explain what happened? I mean, like, okay, RKJ, please explain to us what happened in the Firefly Funhouse match.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Welcome, everybody, to the Ring Generals podcast. My name is Nick Nenad, and if I am lagging, I apologize. My computer is not dealing with me tonight, so I apologize in advance for that. But always alongside me is Eazy-E, Eric Santos.
It's cooking, guys. What's up?
My main man sitting outside today in the cold, Jesse.
What's up, jabronis?
And of course, without further ado, the RKJ man.
Let's talk that talk, y'all. Hypocritical Nick.
How's it going, guys? This is our WrestleMania review podcast. We just watched night 2 of WrestleMania 36, the first WrestleMania with 2 nights. The first WrestleMania with no fans. If you've been watching our preview videos and a lot of the stuff we've been talking about for WrestleMania, of course, we've been kind of negative going into this thing, and we tried at the end of our last podcast to be somewhat positive. And so, you know, it was going to be interesting. Nobody really knew what was going to happen with this WrestleMania. And, you know, there was some crazy stuff that went down. There's definitely some matches to talk about. And there's some matches that kind of went to the wayside. So the way we're going to do this podcast is we're pretty much just going to go in order. Down in the description, I'll have the time codes for each match that we go over. Some matches we're going to go over probably for a minute, maybe even less. And some matches we're really going to dive into, like the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match. And, of course, the big-time championship matches for the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship, and then whatever else we want to do. But so we're going to go in order. So if you don't necessarily care about what we're talking about or a match you didn't care about, just skip forward to a match you actually want to see. I'll have the time codes down in the description. You can see them right now. Before we actually get on with the review, of course, we've been loving all the views and all the comments on Facebook that we've been getting. Right now, though, go down in this video, subscribe, like, and comment. If you're watching this video and you already like it, just like it. There's no reason not to. And subscribe as well. If you've watched the last couple of videos and you like our content, there's literally no reason to not do that. But guys, 2 nights. We're going to start with night 1, of course, to go in order. A lot to get over here. So again, skip forward if you don't want to watch what we're doing right now. But yeah, so our first 2 matches on night 1, we're not going to go through the pre-show matches, by the way, but our first 2 matches on night 1 were Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus Asuka and Kairi Sane for the women's tag team championships, and Elias versus King Corbin. Anything that stood out in these matches, guys, or do we want to just move on straight to the Raw Women's Championship match?
You know, the tag team matches, it was okay. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Sure, the build-up wasn't really there as much as I thought. That's the only thing that I do look forward to is just the build-up. At least Corbin and Elias there was kind of a build-up for that one. So at least they kind of delivered. I do enjoy the trash talk that Corbin did make to Elias, which was pretty cool. Corbin just smacking around Elias, but now Elias got his revenge. So that's pretty cool for Elias, for him to do that. Elias, so hopefully after this he should get out of the kind of like the mid-card area, if you ask me, because he's been really in mid-card hell. And same goes for Corbin. Those 2 guys have been in mid-card hell for a while. So now I think Elias, he needs to be taken seriously, if I was him. Congrats to Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Hopefully the tag title should be being put as important for the SmackDown titles, because, you know, I see them like a good dynamic duo, if you ask me. So that should help shape up the tag team division. But yeah, that's the only thing I can take away. Just Elias and Corbin. Hopefully there's more promise for those guys in the future.
Gotcha. Did you guys have any takes on these 2 matches, or do you want to move on?
I mean, for me, like Eric said before, there wasn't much into it. Look, I wish there was more excitement into this title match, but there isn't. There wasn't much spark into it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no really storyline too.
Yeah, see, there was like nothing to be built up right there. It's just like another Friday night SmackDown match. I don't like, as always.
Yeah.
This time it was just with the titles on the line. Yeah, that's all I could take from there.
Gotcha. RKJ, any thoughts?
I mean, I really don't have anything else to say about this match besides that the first match went way too long, and the second match had Rob Gronkowski in it, and I want to punch Rob Gronkowski in the face. So let's move on to the Raw Women's Championship.
Yeah. And the Raw Women's Championship was one of the most anticipated matches for this card. Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. And guys, only lasted 8.5 minutes, and Becky Lynch gets the victory. I believe half of us were right. I can't remember. Who did guess out of us Becky Lynch was going to win this match?
Me.
Okay, that's who I thought. So RKJ, man, you and I were wrong. And I personally remember saying that I thought that if Becky Lynch was going to win, it was going to be via of a roll-up, not a clean win necessarily. And that is what happened. Now, I anticipate Ronda Rousey getting involved later on. I don't necessarily even think it might be tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw, or tonight, whether you're watching this on Monday or Tuesday or whatever. But RKJ, what do you think about this? And what do you think they have to do to potentially get Shayna Baszler some more respect here on the main roster?
I don't think she's going to be back on the main roster after yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in where there's smoke, there's fire. And I told you guys that I had some uncertainty with all these reports going around that Vince was uncertain with Shayna Baszler based off her Royal Rumble performance, Survivor Series, how the fans are reacting with her. Certain things just was not clicking with me. So I expected Shayna Baszler to win, but I was not surprised that she lost yesterday. I was just disappointed that she lost in that fashion in what was a matchup that I thought should have gone longer. I felt like we should have switched the times with the Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair match with this, because this matchup needed another 5 to 10 minutes to go for us to really get into real gear, and it didn't happen. It just doesn't work. And my only thing is, okay, where do we go from here? What's going on with Becky Lynch in the future? Is it going to get to the point where she's just going to dominate everybody? If you do that, then who else is going to take the title for Becky Lynch?
Yeah.
You're making Becky Lynch this impossible person to beat. You really want the title. You really want whoever to beat her to really get that rub from beating her. And I don't know who's going to beat her. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's going to seem underwhelming. So it's very interesting. And I don't know what the situation is with Becky Lynch. But what I said with Shayna Baszler is, if you bring her up to the main roster and she loses, that kind of kills her credibility, in my opinion. And I feel like her credibility is killed. So, I mean, it was a good match, but I thought it went way too long. And I thought the wrong person ultimately, won the match, honestly. I think it's time to get it off of Becky.
Real quick, before I give the winners of the prediction their thoughts on this match, I did want to say I completely agree with you. You almost stole the words right out of my mouth. I love that. They're making Becky Lynch seem impossible to beat. And to me, it irritates me so much. I think out of anything, well, not anything, there's one other match that pissed me off more than this one. And I think you guys all know what it is, and we'll get to it in a second. But I do think that them making it seem like Becky Lynch, who's essentially a normal woman, a normal professional wrestler, has now beaten two of the best women's UFC fighters in matches now. That seems a little ridiculous. So to piggyback off what you just said, RKJ, man, they're setting up Becky Lynch to be this unbeatable, almost Goldberg type performer. I mean, how many times has she actually lost since we watched her win at WrestleMania 35? Maybe a one handful worth of matches. There you go. So, dude, it's kind of crazy. It's getting crazy. So, you guys obviously had you picked the winner. You thought Baszler was going to lose this match. What were your guys' thoughts after now seeing that it happened in less than 10 minutes?
Eric, take it away.
Man, I mean, as much as I got this one right, but then just the finish, the thing that really did get to me, because how they were building Shayna Baszler to be this badass woman, this dangerous woman, just picking apart the division from NXT and on Raw. It looks like she was just smacking around Becky throughout this entire time. And knowing how the direction was going to be, I knew that Becky was going to win, but what I wanted the finish was for Becky to win, like via submission, seeing like Becky would punish Baszler or, back and forth kind of thing. The thing is that really, like, it just really made me a little bit pissed off was just how the finish was, because now that roll-up pin was just as similar as to what happened last year with Ronda, because that roll-up pin, when we saw that, it was it just we all agreed to it. It wasn't much of a good finish.
No,
for Rousey, and it also costed Rousey's finger as well. And so with Baszler, same result, roll-up pin, and you see Baszler being pissed and looked like she didn't go through war. It didn't, like, because you had these two dangerous women going at it, and then all of a sudden that roll-up pin, it just wasn't credible. It just wasn't believable. That's the thing. So for me, the finish, that was my biggest gripe about it. And then now it just, hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen for the future for Becky Lynch. I mean, I see Shayna going back to NXT, feuding with Charlotte. That could be a possibility.
Yeah.
While
I guess
Becky,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, while Becky goes back on Raw and finds somebody else to go feud. So I really don't know what the future is for Becky, but I can see Baszler have a feud with Charlotte Flair now that she's got the title, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, for sure. Jesse, what do you think about this?
I mean, they brought up some good points. I mean, the whole thing that actually kind of pisses me off, and I agree with Ryan right here, is that it should have been longer. It should have been at least 20 minutes, 25 minutes at least, like a good build-up match. I mean, there were some decent performances in there, here and there, but the finish was, I mean, it was just horrible. It's not the fashion of a Becky Lynch fashion, the finish. And Baszler looks like she didn't get like into it yet. She wasn't like feeling herself into it, and Becky Lynch just barely scraped by. I mean, at least in my opinion, she barely scraped by, and she used the easiest way out, and took it, and she got the W.
Yeah, do you guys think, we talk about the timing, and like this match was 8.5 minutes. The opening match was 15 minutes. The tag team match was 15 minutes. The women's title match was 8.5. Is there a chance that they edited stuff out of this? Is there a chance that maybe there was some botch that happened, or maybe multiple botches where this match actually was 11, 12 minutes, or maybe even longer than that, and they edited stuff out, considering that stuff's never taped? Is this a possibility?
I think it was bad timing on the part of the producers and Vince McMahon. Yeah. And I think it was also a situation of, when these WrestleMania matches happen, usually these superstars have a chance to go on the road in house shows and perform. And that can help you kind of determine the length of the match based on how the superstars' chemistries are. You don't have that with this whole coronavirus situation going. So with that being said, you can't really get in the ring and do what you need to do because of health restrictions and local guidelines and local laws. So it's kind of hard for them to go out and do a full match and kind of have everything together, so you're kind of calling things on the fly. So I think that with the combination of the producers having bad timing, bad booking, kind of hurt the match in its length. But I definitely think that there should have been some matches that should have been cut down. Like, we'll talk about it later. Like the Edge Randy Orton match went way too long.
Oh, yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, it did. And when I tell you guys the time code on that one, you're going to be like, what? That was that long? It's crazy how long the match was. But that will be a little later. Okay, so moving on. Next match was Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan. Obviously, all the henchmen out for both guys out at ringside. This was another sort of short match, less than 10 minutes. Do we have a problem with Sami Zayn retaining the title? Do any of us have a problem with this happening?
I mean, for me, not really. I mean, Sami Zayn took a beating in that match. We can all agree on that. Like, if Herb Dean was reffing that match, he would have stopped it probably early. But he's a ref in a different organization, so good thing for him. But for Daniel Bryan, I mean, look, he like he was definitely beating the Sami Zayn, and there's a lot of close calls right there. But I mean, he just took it was like a roll up pin, I believe, and he got
there was some interference and stuff like that. I mean, what we would be talking about right now, if we actually cared about this match, was that there was interference. It makes both guys look good, but I think there was. I don't think. There's uncertainty with Daniel Bryan's contract, whether he's going to be a full-time performer after this. So I personally didn't really care about this match, knowing that was in the background, and knowing that even if he was the champion, he probably wasn't going to hold it for too long, because you can't have a part-timer hold a mid-card title. That wouldn't make any sense. I guess you could have him technically hold a top title. We've seen this in the past, because you only really have to defend those at pay-per-views. The mid-card titles kind of are defended on TV shows a lot, so I don't think you can have a part-timer do that. RKJ, did you have any problem with Sami Zayn winning this match?
No, I mean, Sami Zayn, there's rumors going around that maybe his shoulder is being the reason why he wasn't wrestling for so much longer. I don't know what the issue is with Sami Zayn, but, there's a lot of bells and whistles to that match. It was just a normal heel match. Nothing really fancy about that match. It was all right.
Yeah. Eric, any thoughts?
I guess it was appropriate for Sami Zayn to still have the championship. Nothing more else to say. Just wasn't exciting and just in my favor. I think Ring of Honor would have loved a match like that, Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan, but it's underneath the card for WrestleMania. I didn't really expect anything else. So, yeah, I mean, good on Sami Zayn. Nothing else more to say about that match, to be honest.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so moving on. The next two matches is where we saw a lot of crazy kind of moments in these matches. A lot of big-time moves. The matches that came next in this order were the triple threat ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships that featured John Morrison, Jimmy Uso, and Kofi Kingston. Nobody at ringside, nobody helping them out. And then the other match was Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins that ended up being no disqualification. Originally wasn't. What were our takeaways from this? How did these matches feel without fans, especially the ladder match? Like, how did the ladder match come off to you guys without fans? Was it still kind of the same, or was it a little disappointing?
Well, it's they had to utilize what they had.
Yeah.
Nothing else more to say for the fans. I mean, we all get it. There's not going to be any fans, so they try to use whatever they could to try to experiment. It looked like Morrison and Kofi were the ones who were trying to steal the show. It looked like they were trying to do something new with the match. I gotta admire that about those guys. The ladders, it looked like they tried to do everything they could to do something new. I thought it was pretty, it was pretty ridiculous how Morrison won the match, how he the belts, and then he fell down, and then like the belts came down to him when he fell. It was almost like, wait a minute, is that how you win? Like, is that how you actually can that be allowed? Like, titles can fall into like in your direction.
All right, we apologize for that. We're coming back. RKJ, man, they had a little problem in the kitchen at where he's filming at. So we're back. We were talking about
Smell that?
Is that what
this WrestleMania? This podcast is more cursed than this WrestleMania. If you only knew the stop and starts we just go through.
Oh, 100%. So we were talking about the SmackDown Tag Team Championship ladder match. Eric would just finish this point about how John Morrison, the kind of hokey way this match ended. In all, John Morrison and The Miz are the tag team champions. I want to pose to Jesse and RKJ, man. What do you think about Morrison and Miz holding the titles after the rumors about Miz kind of being unprofessional and coming to work sick? Do you think that was still a good idea to keep the titles on them, or do you think there should have been some punishment here for what happened?
I think they should have kept. I think they made the right choice to let them keep the titles for now. Of course, Miz calling out sick is not the best thing for anybody, to be honest, especially from his part. And like Eric said, man, the titles on John Morrison and The Miz right now, it was kind of a little bit confusing, especially in that last part of the match, and I don't know, I don't even have other words to say but that.
Ridiculous, yeah.
As for Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, I mean, I like that match, to be honest. Without the fans, they actually even sold it more than I thought they would, and they improvised too, and that's what I liked about that match. And as Kevin Owens went to extremes. He said, "I'm not taking that loss. I'd rather have that win," and he took that win. And I mean, that was a pretty great match.
Yeah. Okay, James. So, what do you think about the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and then give your thoughts on Owens and Rollins?
First of all, I thought it was a fantastic match. Weird finish. Like, up until that point, I thought it was the match of the night. And even my dad, who was watching over, because he was doing some stuff in the kitchen, he was watching. He looked over. He's like, "That was actually a really good match," and that woke everything up. Because before that, the show was lagging. It was like
I agree.
Or SmackDown, and I was like, "This sucks." Okay. As far as the Miz goes, I have no problem with them keeping the title on Miz and Morrison because of this. They're kind of the fresher tag team overall in terms of the past 5 years. We've seen New Day the past 5 years hold tag team championship gold. They have a record for the length of the tag team championship. We've seen the Usos win, I think 6 championships, 6 tag team titles. So it's keeping the titles on Miz and Morrison. Morrison is somewhat fresh after being gone for a decade pretty much. You know what I'm saying? That was something that's pretty great. As far as the Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins match, this is one of those matches that actually benefits when you can turn the audio up when there's no crowd. They were both trash talking each other. Seth Rollins got to be a heel. Kevin Owens was calling Seth Rollins a bitch, not a god, a bitch. You know what I'm saying? These are the types of things that I love to hear, and you don't hear it because you have so many idiot fans sometimes chanting dumb stuff in the crowd, trying to get their stuff over instead of, focusing and paying attention to the match. And this was a case of we could just focus, pay attention to the match. We can hear the referee talking clearly to the competitors, asking both competitors that you want to give up, saying, "Don't do this, don't do that." And then you have Seth Rollins doing what he did. And then ultimately Kevin Owens jumping off the top of that pirate ship. Now, I know New Jack didn't like it on Twitter, but I liked it personally, okay? New Jack don't like a lot of things, okay? All right, but the fact of the matter is this. Kevin Owens said it in a tweet. He said he was going to jump off a pirate ship. He was going to jump off the pirate ship in Tampa Bay. Yeah. But he said no matter what, he was going to figure it out. So I'm sorry it's not the pirate ship in Tampa Bay, but this is a good alternative.
I love that. Yeah, I love that he came up with the idea and actually was able to follow through, because I don't know how he would have jumped off the pirate ship unless they had a Falls Count Anywhere match or something like that. But it was I'll go over that match really quickly, and I'll give my thoughts on Morrison, because I think I have a little different thoughts than you guys did on all that. Rollins and Owens, I mean, the match before they changed it to no DQ kind of sucked. I mean, it was continuing just I don't like matches without fans. Okay, it's nobody's fault, but I just prefer there to be craziness going on, or there to be the cinematic stuff, or there to be weapons. Right? There needs to be that extra shot of adrenaline in these matches. So once they changed it to no DQ, holy crap, did it turn around 100%, 180 for me?
Yep.
I mean, those chair shots Rollins was giving Owens, whoo! He hit him in the hand the one time on his chest. Oh, I was like, that hurt for sure, legit. Yeah. And then of course you have Owens with that incredible leap. It's always hard. It's always amazing how perfectly some of these guys time these jumps too. And knowing that was probably shot in one shot too, it's always amazing. I still remember Shane McMahon jumping off the Hell in a Cell. The fact that these guys never just miss by a little bit and kill themselves is amazing. It truly shows you how talented these guys are, not just as athletes, but as performers. I loved the ending. I was into it. Rollins, he's gagging and can't breathe. That was great. And then Owens getting the win. That's what needed to happen. You needed the face to get the win over the clear heel, and hopefully Seth Rollins' gimmick kind of changes a little bit, knowing that he lost But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with WWE after all this happens. And then back to the tag team match real quickly. I do have a problem with the Morrison and the Miz keeping the titles because now we're gonna talk about another match where this similar thing I can talk about with. There's kind of I think if guys disrespect the business or disrespect all their coworkers, there needs to be some sort of punishment. Those guys shouldn't hold titles. So I think with these rumors, if they are true, and everything else has been true so far, so I don't know why this wouldn't be true. If the rumors are true that the Miz came to work sick and kind of ruined 2 matches on this card in some ways, I don't think Morrison and his tag team partner, The Miz, should have kept the titles. If you look at the performance from Morrison in the ring, absolutely. But knowing the stuff on the outside, I do hope those titles are taken away from them sooner than later. And I really do want to find out what happened with The Miz and stuff because, man, that's so dangerous with what's going on. And we talked about this on another podcast, but I mean, I think it's one of the reasons Roman Reigns quit. And it's one of the reasons I think Jey Uso left. I assume he wasn't in this match because he didn't want to be in it. So, yeah, really interesting. One more thing really quickly, too. I really want this Big E heel turn to come soon. I thought it might happen in this match. It might be a reason why the New Day was kind of a way for them to lose this match. They found another creative way to end the match, but that's something I want to look forward to. I hope maybe we have a SummerSlam match between Big E and Kofi Kingston. With the Xavier Woods out, it's got to happen now. It's the best time. All right.
Do that match. You got to do that when there's a crowd. You got to do that.
That's what I'm saying. SummerSlam, I assume, is when the first crowd's going to happen. So, yeah, I would love that. Okay. Moving on to our favorite match of the night. It is the Universal Championship match between Goldberg and Braun Strowman. Now, just to give you guys a little take, before this WrestleMania, we recorded a podcast. And we had not found out how the WWE was going to announce Braun Strowman into this match. So to catch you guys up, they didn't. They just said he's in the match. Literally, that's all they fucking did. That's all they did. They just said Braun Strowman's in the match. They didn't explain why Roman Reigns wasn't in it. They just said Braun Strowman's now the #1 contender for the Universal Championship. And then Braun Strowman won the match in 2 minutes. Somebody shoot.
I'll go. I'll go. Okay. Look, I'm sorry, Eric. I'm going to say it again. Braun Strowman is the millennial Big Show. Nobody can pretend about times. I don't care. I'm going to say it 1,000,001 times. Okay, Braun Strowman is irrelevant. Nobody cares about Braun Strowman.
Not anymore.
He would have not been Universal Champion had Roman Reigns had not left, and because of the Miz, he would have not been Universal Champion. The fact of the matter is this: Braun Strowman was a waste of time. Goldberg was a waste of time. We wasted the Fiend's character. We wasted what could have been the Fiend in a fantastic matchup against Roman Reigns because of Goldberg. And then you have this situation. It's a complete disaster. The matchup sucked. And I don't know where you go with this thing with Braun Strowman. It's a complete waste of our time, and I just want to erase it from my memory.
Fair. Eric, what's your shoot?
I know my brother he wants to say this, but he told me before I even got on the podcast, and he wanted me to tell you guys that it depressed him so much that he doesn't have any promise for this storyline at all. Watching that match between Strowman and Goldberg, again, like one of us, I told him that, yeah, there's no promo, there's no commercial, anything like that. My brother was like, wait a minute, they aren't doing any build? Nope, build up. You just need to know.
Stupid.
You just need to know. You need to know through social media or whatever they're going to give you. All right? So eat it up, swallow it, and you're going to get that. So seeing that match, Strowman and Goldberg go at it, I didn't expect anything else. 2-minute match. It was a 2-minute match. I knew it was going to be a short match. I was hoping that, okay, like as much as the pill I want to swallow so hard, the bitter pill I want to swallow. I just hope that Goldberg wins this match. That way we can have Roman go, head to head, and we can have that match. But apparently that wasn't the case, and Strowman won the match, and there you have it. He's your Universal Champion, whether we like it or not.
Like I told you guys before, when we predicted this before in the podcast before this, and I told you guys, Goldberg is going to lose to Braun Strowman. How in the hell are you going to have an old man?
He didn't say it.
With the unique physical attributes, but come on. It's like watching Me versus the freaking Andre the Giant. Come on. Look, Goldberg, I love Goldberg. Don't get me wrong. I love him. He's a legend in the business. And but the way they kind of put this together, it was abrupt, I mean, no heads up, like Eric said. It was just put out there, and just found out through social media. But look, how are you gonna have an old man beat a younger stronger young cat in Braun Strowman? I mean, there's no passing through that. And I mean, now since Braun Strowman won this match, and if the Fiend finds another way to get a title match, and if you could possibly have a Fiend versus Braun Strowman in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I like your explanation. I mean, you put it in a realistic sense that Braun Strowman should not lose to a guy like Bill Goldberg who's over 50. I think in professional wrestling sense, that doesn't a lot of times happen. I mean, the next match we're going to talk about, it was a 50-year-old beating a guy in his 40s. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's some promise because you have the Wyatt family stuff behind him with the Fiend and Braun Strowman. But it is unreal that Fox, like the Channel 11 here in Los Angeles, Fox, their champion, won the match without any promotion and just won it. It would have been like, for all the UFC or MMA guys listening, and for you too, it would have been like Al Iaquinta beating Khabib 2 years ago on 2 days' notice in the first round. Like, you would have been like, that's insane, shut the fuck up, just put the fight on, I want to see it.
It's a Cinderella story.
Yeah. It is.
But the difference is a Cinderella story is Kofi Kingston last year. That's a Cinderella story. It's Daniel Bryan in WrestleMania 30. Braun Strowman, I mean, the egregiousness of WWE to not even explain what happened with Roman Reigns.
And Nick, like, you didn't even mention this. Triple H said it was going to be done in a unique way. He said that we were going to get an answer.
I'm going to punch the screen. I'm going to punch the screen. Yeah, what was the unique way?
This is laughable. The thing that it's just so comedic. Here's the comedic way is just how everything was. No promotion, no commercial, no build up. It was just, nope, you guys figure it out on your own. And guess what? Surprise! Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. All right, go at it, guys.
Hey, guess what? There's one thing that we didn't get in this match. There's one thing that we can look at as a positive. Goldberg didn't concuss himself prior to the match. Or maybe he did, and they just refilmed it to make sure they didn't put it in.
Nah, it was the first take.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Goldberg probably busted his head open 2 days before, and they're like, really, Bill? Really? It's taped.
Well, the good thing is they ain't in the desert. They ain't in Saudi Arabia, so,
That's true.
At least
concussions only happen in Saudi Arabia. You're right.
Stay at home, Goldberg.
I mean, this match sucked shit. I'm sorry. It was just so bad. Moving on to something that didn't suck at all. The main event of part one of night one was the Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles. Still so fresh in my mind. I want to give my thoughts on this first. I love this. For what I thought was a pretty lackluster WrestleMania night one, I was not intrigued really with most of the card, and then the Goldberg Bill Braun Strowman thing kind of ruined it for me even more. This, I was entertained. Obviously it was kind of shot like a horror movie. So a little crazy elements to it. Obviously you had the Undertaker kind of rising from the dead and AJ Styles getting murdered, essentially being buried alive. But I thought this is the kind of stuff that Undertaker, needs to do if he possibly can. I think Undertaker, with the way he's wrestled in the ring, this was a kind of shot in the dark, whether this would work, and I think it works. So I think you can now move on to this. I hadn't thought of this kind of idea, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is what they should have done the whole time. No, I think this is what they should do going forward. And so I love this match. You guys can get more into the intricacies of it, but I loved it, and we got the return of the American Badass as well. Awesome match, and an awesome way to end this WrestleMania.
Man, yeah, when I look back at that match, it was entertaining, and there were some funny moments. How when I felt like AJ felt like so redneck when he was going to pour all that dirt on Undertaker, and you can totally tell like he was like his inner redneck was gonna shine, but it was great. I knew that Undertaker was going to show up as the biker Undertaker, American Badass, Big Evil, you name it. Just how the storyline was going forward, it looked like he was like, okay, yeah, definitely the way how he's been dressing and the way how he's been talking, it's almost like, oh yeah, we're gonna get American Badass. It was great seeing him and then seeing him ride with Metallica's "Now That We're Dead" song. Really good intro for him to show up. Entertaining, just. It was what I expected. Like you said, Nick, it was like a horror movie. Great how they added in the OC being a part of it and the Druids, and then seeing Taker win the match. Like the inner me actually wanted to say, as much as I like AJ Styles, I actually wanted Taker to win, and I really felt like AJ was going to win the match. I felt like AJ, like, oh damn, he's actually really, quote unquote, going to do the world a favor and going to retire and finally end the Undertaker for good. And like, oh god, it looks like he's actually listening to the fans out there who say that, yeah, they want him to retire soon. So that was fun. And then seeing Taker get back at him, that was great. Winning the match, and then he rides off. Great way to end the show. Great way. And you probably heard my commentary on Instagram when I said, there you go, because I haven't seen that side of Undertaker since 2003. Yeah. So it's been a while since I've seen that. Maybe in the autograph signings, he was still dressed like that, but still in the ring and competition. It's been a while, so it's good to see him going back his old ways. So yeah.
I actually liked it too. I mean, it kind of has like the horror movie theme. It brought me back to Halloween, to be honest. I thought it was Halloween, but you got the barnyard, you got the tractors, you got the graveyard right next to it. Jesus, man, it's drizzling out here. But
Better interrupt you.
But anyways, AJ Styles I thought AJ Styles was gonna win too, to be honest. And the way things ended up pretty. I just loved it. I loved it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to explain that I didn't like. It's a part where the AJ Styles was talking a little too much when he was trying to bury him with that tractor, Mm-hmm. And if he didn't talk too much, he probably would have finished that match earlier. But we got the win for Undertaker and riding off like a badass like he is back in those good old glory days. There's no better way to end that.
Number one, if this was the Undertaker's final match at WrestleMania, I'm totally okay with it. Honestly, I'm totally okay, especially with that sequence at the very end where he's riding off. I think that's the perfect way to do it. It may have been his last match with him riding off into the sunset, combining both characters. I just thought it was just phenomenally done, honestly. I don't even know if that's a word. It's probably not. It was just such a good match. It was so good. It was well produced. I know we were making a joke because we didn't know what a boneyard match was. I asked that question, making jokes that they were going to bone each other.
They did bone each other.
You know what I'm saying? They did bone each other, but it was sympathetic beauty, okay? Eric?
He said they're bullying each other behind the scenes. That's what he said. Exactly the words that came out of his mouth.
Hey man, in front of the scenes, I saw cinematic greatness. I read that they had actually got a production team to kind of help them out with that, which is very interesting that they were able to do that when all the stuff with COVID-19 was going on.
Yeah,
they were able to get all of this and to get another place to film. I don't know who was involved. I saw Triple H in a photo. I don't know if Bruce was a part of this. If Bruce was, now I'm gonna give Bruce credit. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Bruce.
Bruce is not on Raw though. Bruce is not on Raw. So I don't think he would have.
Oh, Raw. All right. Well, Triple H there. So shout out to Triple H and whoever else was producing that segment. It was phenomenal. It was great, and I don't mind if certain things like this are done more in the WWE because it's something different and something fresh. And if you don't have any fans, make it into cinema. You got to be different in sports entertainment. So be different.
Yeah. You talked about 8-hour production. Apparently, Undertaker legit cut his arm when he put his arm through that window. That was something that that actually happened. And what's that?
It's fucking coming down.
We got another.
Oh, I love this podcast is amazing today. I love this
year.
Hold on, boys.
Look at he's legitimately getting rain on his computer. Look at that. That's insane.
Damn, man.
Oh my goodness.
We're keeping all of this in, Jesse. So please, while he's talking, I'll put some more production notes on this. Triple H was involved. The No DQ article you sent me was very informational, RKJ, and apparently all the dialogue was themselves. It just shows you a lot like what I was saying with Kevin Owens, and Shane McMahon with the way they're able to jump and perform physically. Man, for AJ Styles and Undertaker to essentially kind of do this story by themselves is really, it just shows you the professional wrestlers. It shows you why guys like The Rock and John Cena and Dave Bautista end up being Hollywood stars, because it's easy for them to transition, and I think that's why we'll talk about later, the Firefly Funhouse was, oh my God, talk about cinema. A different style of cinema, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little later.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I think Jesse's gonna take a little bit. So let's move on to night 2. The first match on the card was Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. 20-minute match. A very solid match. I honestly would have liked this to open a real WrestleMania. I think that would have been a good idea. So I think that's one of the reasons they opened this card. And Charlotte Flair gets the win. So Charlotte Flair is the NXT champion. Now, Eric, what are your quick thoughts on what did you think about Charlotte getting the title? Because you already explained what you think is going to happen after. So just give me your thoughts on Charlotte winning and Rhea Ripley not.
It looked like I don't have much of a problem with the finish than the Becky and the Shayna Baszler match. It didn't piss me off. Like, at least that finish was pretty good. I'm not having any complaints about it. As much as not that many people are really high on the fact that Rhea Ripley lost the belt to Charlotte Flair, it was kind of a long time coming for Charlotte to have her win the match and the belt. And it looks like, because she's, in her words, she did say she held all the gold, she held all the gold, and how she was talking about how she conquered Raw and SmackDown, and then now she wants to conquer NXT, the same belt that she wore back in, a couple of years ago. So looks like there's going to be kind of a big title reign for Charlotte Flair, and I can see a feud between, like I said, earlier, with Baszler and with Rhea Ripley, because it looked like Charlotte Flair was really doing a number on Rhea Ripley's knee. It looked like there was a spot where you can tell that Rhea Ripley bent her knee down, and her leg, it almost felt like, oh boy, that looked kind of real. So I can probably say that maybe Rhea Ripley is going to have to get back her belt, and then Baszler is going to have to get involved too. So not much of a problem. the match delivered, ending more satisfying than the Baszler and Becky Lynch match. That's just my.
Jesse is back. He's now in a not wet location. Jesse, we just jumped into the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley match. Your thoughts on Charlotte winning the NXT Championship?
I mean, I kind of saw it coming because from the way that Eric explained it prior to this, if Charlotte wins this title match, she'll be feuding with Rhea Ripley in NXT and possibly Shayna Baszler at this point now, because we don't know where she's going to be at in the near future, or what's her position in the future. And during that match, Eric said also that there's some points to where Charlotte was going after that left leg of Rhea Ripley's, because it was basically an easy target, her weakest point, and I mean, that's basically what she targeted throughout the whole entire match. And, you know, at the end, she went for that leg submission and got the win.
Do you like the decision? Do you think it was the right decision to make, or do you think Rhea Ripley kind of got robbed?
I think it was the right decision, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I mean, Rhea Ripley, it was the biggest match of her career. And for her to lose to a veteran like Charlotte Flair is basically like a badge of honor, if in my point. But yeah,
I got you. RKJ, I think you might have different thoughts on this than Eric and Jesse did. What was wrong with Charlotte Flair winning? Because I know that's what you're gonna go at.
First of all, it was a great match.
Yes.
I was kind of interrupted watching this match. Certain other things were going on, but when I got to actually watch it full this time, thought the in-ring psychology was fantastic. Another match where I loved the two participants talking to each other, amping the audio up. It was really good. But here's the reason why I hate Charlotte Flair winning. It's because I think it's motivated by AEW. Okay, I think they're thinking,
you're right.
Let's put Charlotte Flair on NXT so she can have that title reign. And because she's a draw, maybe people will tune in, especially right now with a lot of people sitting home. Maybe people will tune in to NXT over AEW. I don't think that's the right reason to have Charlotte Flair win it. I don't want Charlotte Flair winning it anyway, because she's proven in the past that she's not a very good champion. You know what I'm saying? How many title reigns can you remember from her winning those 11 championships? Because I can't remember a lot of them.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I can't really remember even.
So the problem is we're putting Charlotte Flair in this position, and we're once again doing it to another NXT star. And I've seen this brought up a couple of times on Twitter. We're ruining these NXT stars. It's almost like Vince said, let me give them their shine at Survivor Series, but they're going to have to do the favor come again at WrestleMania. It's very sad and it's very disappointing that Vince is thinking like that, because that's not how you build new stars. At some point, these old stars are going to have to do the favor for these NXT stars coming up, or else these NXT stars will have no fire beneath them when they do make that full leap to the main roster, like Rhea Ripley or Shayna Baszler. But at the end of the day, Charlotte Flair's winning. Charlotte Flair won. Nobody cares about her winning at this point. It's just who's she going to face. You know what I'm saying? I think her number one contender should be Bianca Belair coming out of this thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll say this. I didn't like that she won either. I was surprised that she won. I thought the way, Rhea Ripley beat Shayna Baszler clean. So I guess now the way WWE portrayed Shayna Baszler, it makes sense that Charlotte won. Looking at it now from the second day, going into it, I probably should have thought different. But, there's a lot of weird stuff WWE does with these NXT talents, like you were saying, RKJ, where stuff that happened in NXT doesn't matter when it comes to the main roster. Number one example, Asuka. I mean, unbeatable. And now she just lost the tag team championships to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. So, that's all I'm gonna say there. And then of course Shayna Baszler and Shinsuke Nakamura and and so many others have come up from NXT and not been shown the prior respect. So, I just think I think you're right, RKJ, man. It was, Vince being kind of bullheaded about this whole thing. Hey, they did the favors at Survivor Series. They did them at WrestleMania. I am excited about a lot of the Charlotte versus Bianca Belair matches. I would be excited about a Rhea Ripley rematch, maybe add a stipulation into it. I would definitely be excited about Shayna and Baszler versus Charlotte, the way Triple H would do it, not the Vince way that ends in 8 minutes. So, we'll see. And this is a retaliatory shot to AEW. You're right. I hadn't thought about that. And that's always stupid when they do that. So, we'll just see. But yeah, Charlotte's a new NXT champion, and I guess she's gonna be on NXT. I guess it's a way of kind of avoiding the inevitable of her beating your father's championship reign. It's extending it out a little further. I don't know if this necessarily counts in that, but I think eventually she's gonna end up beating her father's streak. So, we'll see. All right, the next match. What were we saying?
5 more left. She's got 11. She's got 5.
Insane. And they don't mean as much as Rick's. Not even close. All right. Little shout out in the next match to Eric Sky, Aleister Black with a big win. I guess you'd call it a big win. Black Mass. I called it Black Mass out of nowhere. I called it on Twitter, and it did happen. This match had absolutely no build. There was no reason for it to be on the card, and Aleister Black deserved more. I don't think any of you guys disagree with that, so I'm just going to move on to the next match.
Yep.
The next match, Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. There was actually a story behind this. I was somewhat invested in this, even though I probably shouldn't have, especially with what happened on SmackDown, where they had this, this storyline change where Sonya Deville was really the one behind everything, and Mandy Rose actually wanted to go on the date. I sound like I'm talking about, Victorious or something like that on this show. I don't know, it's like high school shit, but whatever. It's better than what they did with Braun Strowman and Goldberg. So, Otis inevitably gets the win from help from Mandy. He gets his big kiss in the ring. This is something that needed the crowd. Was there anything wrong with this, guys, or was it kind of just nice to see Otis finally get the girl in the end?
It was actually pretty nice seeing Otis getting the girl at the end.
It was awesome. Awesome. I loved it.
It was actually a great build up too, because Otis thought Mandy deceived him, by going out with Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler is the better looking guy, the fitter guy, slimmer, more muscular. Those things that Otis isn't. And look, he's got his little Cinderella story at the end. Come on.
There you go. Yeah, see? A Cinderella story. You had a big guy in a Cinderella story. Otis, not Braun Strowman. Okay? We're not calling Braun Strowman Cinderella. I love this so much. Otis, hey, you know what it showed for me out of anything? Is that Otis he can fight singles if he wants to. He's not just a tag team guy. And I think Otis has some promise in this company with how comedic he is. And the fact that he can wrestle, the worm he hit, whatever the caterpillar, that's the best one I've ever seen him hit.
Actually, it kind of reminds me of, his caterpillar movie reminds me of the Scotty 2 Hotty.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Nobody will ever forget that.
So great.
It's so devastating because the guy that's 300 pounds and has a gut slamming on you the whole time. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Exactly. Eric, happy for you too?
I had fun with this storyline. It's actually one of the more heartwarming storylines because now Otis gets the woman and he finally beats Dolph Ziggler, gets his revenge. I'm happy for Otis, And like you said, Nick, you brought up a good point that he can have singles competition. So we might see him in singles competition in the future. The guy, I remember he was on Corey Graves' podcast and he said that most of his inspiration, how his physical appearance and his movesets is all inspired from his great grandmother who used to wrestle in carnivals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his great grandmother used to wrestle in carnivals, and that's where he got all of his influence from her. So, and when I see him wrestle, I can see that. I can totally see that from those old school 1930s, 1920s carnivals. When they would have wrestling matches. So, him incorporating that in today's world, that's great for Otis. So let's see what happens with Otis and Manny. And I'm pretty sure DeVille and Dolph Ziggler, they're not going to be resting this feud. So I think they're going to go after both of them, since we've seen these secrets unfold on SmackDown. Yeah.
RKJ, I'm going to ask you a question because I think I know what you're going to say about this match. I want to ask you a different question. I want you to comment on what Mandy Rose was wearing when she came out to the ring.
I'm just saying this. Wrestle with the Plot was exploding.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying this right now. It was exploding with gifts when she came out with that on.
Whoo!
God is so good.
My girlfriend's going to get mad that I just did that, by the way, on the podcast. But, yeah. Jesus Christ, guys. I mean, come. Otis. Dolph, how did you lose that? Come on, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
Before we move on, that punch in the nuts by Mandy, dude, I felt it from here home, man.
Oh, dude, and Dolph Ziggler's kick. Dolph Ziggler kicked him right in the balls. Like, as hard as he could. I don't even know how he faked it. That was amazing. It's actually a good match.
Yeah.
Real quickly, a couple of things actually about the match real quick. Otis reminds me of Rikishi. I saw Rikishi when I was younger, and I remember Rikishi. He wasn't your typical WWE superstar, but he just got over organically, naturally with the crowd. He's kind of a comedic character. Brings back memories of Too Cool. He reminds me of Rikishi. I just hope they don't screw his character over like Rikishi.
He can keep his ass in his pants if you want, but I want him to keep his ass in his pants, though. I don't want to see his ass. Okay, I'm just saying.
I think his gut is his ass in this point.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, Jesus, man. Like, work out the abs. My goodness. All right. Enough of that. Okay. The next match: Edge versus Randy Orton in a last man standing match. Lots of hope for this match. It lasted 36 minutes. Pretty much ended up being a false count anywhere match in the end with last man standing rules. I think we all were disappointed by this. Can we all agree with that? We were all somewhat disappointed in this match.
Yeah. In a way, I mean.
Yeah, it's you know what? It has to do with the fact that this was in an arena with no fans. I think the spots were limited. Especially after what Kevin Owens did off the stage. You can't really do that twice. Might have been an idea for one of them. It was kind of boring. And it like even the stuff that they were using, at least in my opinion, the weapons they were using weren't like, it didn't look like stuff I could take those shots. It wasn't even that brutal of a match to last that long, where there needed to be something. There was blood because Randy cut his back on the table, but like that's really it. They had the concerto at the end to finish the match. But I mean, why do you tease us at the top of a semi truck if someone's not going off that thing, right? Like, that match would have been salvaged. Let's say Edge spears Randy off the semi truck, or Edge throws Randy off the semi truck, right?
That would have been better. That would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, we had Undertaker chokeslam AJ Styles off a roof the night before. Yep. I think that was real. I assume it was. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't they have just cinematically shot this? Not cinematically, but why couldn't they have just, shot Edge and Randy Orton falling off the semi into stuff and have a crash landing? You don't show what happens. I mean, a la Jeff Hardy jumping off the Titantron that one time. He landed on nothing. We've seen the video. But to us fans, it didn't look like that. It looked like he landed on Randy Orton. So I think there was a lot of stuff they could have done with this match. I think it was, I'm not going to blame them because it was the circumstances, but it was a disappointing end to what was such a great feud for me. RKJ, what'd you think about it?
I know in that Edge Chronicle series that they did was just phenomenal, that Edge mentioned how AEW kind of reached out to him. All I'm saying is I bet you Tony Khan is so happy right now he did not pick up Edge after that. I don't think Edge should be wrestling one more match if he cannot deliver. And on top of that, just the circumstances around that match. I said this. A lot of people were mentioning about the fact that the announcers sound like they were at a golf tournament.
Yeah.
I said this. Why, if it's an arena with no fans, nobody there, why can't the announcers kind of get a little bit closer to the action? I mean, this is one of those things where editing really hurts it, because now it seems like they edited in the announcers, and the announcers weren't as excited as if they would have been there and been in the back as Randy Orton and Edge are doing those things. Just give them some handheld microphones and let them go in the back and do their thing. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't do that, and it just made the match suck. I mean, if the crowd's not going to be there, you need to have the announcers sound a little bit more exciting. And, it wasn't there, and it was very disappointing to see. Overall, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if Edge thought he was Tarzan. Multiple times he was jumping off things, holding a hold of things and trying to hit Randy Orton. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was because of the injury with Edge and they were trying to be safe with that neck. But if you're concerned about that, then he shouldn't be wrestling in a match, period.
Yeah, that's true.
You should just let him go to AEW and ruin himself in AEW. It just doesn't make any sense to me for you to have this matchup with such great build. It's bad too. And Randy Orton has a history of bad matches at WrestleMania. We've seen it multiple times. Him versus Triple H for WrestleMania 25. Another situation. Great build. Hell of a matchup. Hell of a storyline. And then you go into the match and it sucks. So, I mean, Randy Orton's got to be to blame at this, too. At the end of the day, I just think the two guys just didn't have great chemistry, and it's on both of those guys with the WWE production staff.
Eric, your thoughts on this match?
I was excited at first, but then towards like the middle, when they were spending their time in the gym, I started yawning throughout the entire match.
Dude, so was I. I hadn't got my coffee either. Holy shit. Yeah, I was falling asleep.
Yeah, and I was falling asleep on that. I was kind of like expecting them to get a little bit more, picking up more, like you said. And I also agree. It's not their fault. Both of them, it's not their fault. It's just due to the circumstances, or they're trying to protect Edge's neck, because we all know his history of neck issues. So that's with that being said, Edge and Randy Orton, it looked like the match was picking up towards the end. It looked like when they were on top of the semi-truck, it looked like it was starting to pick things up a little bit with the spear and then the RKO and then the concerto and then that lock that Edge did to him. It was, I think it was okay at the end, but towards in the middle and the beginning, it was just, I just wished it would have been better. And it also kind of like afterwards, after the match, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go downstairs and have myself dinner and probably going to miss out the next match. And that's what I actually did. I just missed out on the next match because I didn't really after this match just makes me hungry, or kind of makes me take my mind off of something else. So that's what I did. I just wish that the match could have lived up to its, to the hype, because we were all looking forward to it and we were expecting more from it. But 36 minutes. Wow, that was long, and that was enough for me to take a power nap.
You did go MIA for 30 minutes after that. That actually makes sense now. Jesse, your thoughts on this match?
Look, this match itself had high expectations, and some parts somewhat little bit delivered, but not the way that we as fans wanted it to go out. This match was so long. I took the time actually able to cook pasta and actually be in the kitchen for a bit and make my food. And then as soon as I came back, they were still going at it. I'm like, God, guys, come on. They were still at the gym. I was like, guys, oh my God. So it gave me time to eat and then come back and watch the rest of it. But look, yeah, I feel like they're protecting Edge's neck with the injury and all. And they should never prolong this matchup, to be honest. It should have been cut a little bit shorter, at least 25 minutes, or if not, a little bit less.
Well, yeah, it's with post-production, they could have just skipped all the boring stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't think people really they definitely could have cut 10 minutes off that match.
Look, it just kind of killed the buzz of this match itself.
Yeah. No, it definitely was. I'll get you guys comments on this. The idea of Edge's neck going around a noose-like item on a weight bench remind you guys of anything? I mean, maybe a little tasteless spot. We're not going to get into it exactly, but talked about it 2 weeks ago on this podcast, guys. Maybe not the spot to do. Like, holy shit. It was not just me, too. All of Twitter thought that Randy Orton putting Edge in a noose that it was attached to a weight bench maybe was the wrong message to send. Just gonna leave it there.
To be fair, that was done. The match was taped before Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
To be fair. But yeah, it looked terrible.
Well, I mean, it wasn't taped before 2007.
It was not taped before 2007. Both those wrestlers were probably backstage in 2007 too.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Let's move on. But yeah, just interesting. Twitter was like, "Ooh, Jesus, what are you guys doing?"
I didn't thought of that, to be honest. I didn't thought about that until you guys brought that up. And now looking back at it,
I thought about it immediately, and then when Twitter was started to get out, there was a couple guys on Twitter like, that reminds me of something, And now I'm like, let's hope they do something else. Please get off that image. Like, let's not do that. All right, so let's moving on. 4 more matches on this WrestleMania. The next two, well, let's just go. I mean, the next one was Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Austin Theory. This was a tough match to build because I think they wanted to do Angel Garza and Andrade. Andrade is injured, so they had to sub in Austin Theory. Quick match, really nothing to it. Street Profits win. We have a weird cameo from Bianca Belair. I mean, we're all glad the Street Profits won, correct? Like, I don't think there was really anything else that had to happen in this. So we'll move on to the next match. That's Bayley ending up winning the SmackDown Women's Championship 5-way elimination match. What we didn't get in this match was a Sasha Banks heel or face turn, and we had Bayley retaining. Guys, thoughts on this?
I actually thought Sasha at the very end of the match, I thought she was going to go after Bayley because the way she picked up the title and looked at Bayley, and I thought she was going to turn heel right there. But and then she went straight to Bayley and wrapped it around the race. I was like, wait, this is a perfect time to turn heel right there.
Yeah.
I mean, the match itself, to be honest, I was kind of a little bit bored. I can't really say anything else other than that.
Eric, your thoughts on Bayley retaining and essentially there was a little storyline Sasha Banks stuff in there. Might be setting up for something else later. But what were your thoughts on this?
Well, like I said before, I actually went on MIA and missed the 2 matches, and I just heard that Street Profits won the match. I'm like,
right.
Okay, cool. Street Profits won. So yeah, I actually took my time and ate dinner, so I didn't really care so much about it. But then the match between the only part that I got to the match was between Bayley and Lacey Evans, and that was like, at first I think it was more entertaining seeing that. So at first I didn't get the part about Sasha, turning face or turning on her partner. I didn't get that part until Sasha sealed the deal by attacking Lacey Evans. So that's just confirmed that Bayley won the match. Nothing more to it, just another quick match as well, I guess. Like I said, I just went MIA just to have dinner. And so I guess it's the right move for Bayley at this part. At this part, her being champion is until somebody legitimate comes in and tries to take that belt away from her. Maybe Lacey Evans, because it looks like Lacey Evans got screwed over by Sasha, in my estimation. That's how I put it.
100%. Arcade J, your thoughts on Bayley winning?
Okay, so I know last year I made a tweet about Lacey Evans and the fact that, I criticized her and her wrestling ability. I will say this. She did a really good job in this match. Held her own in this match really good. That moonsault was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
We'll give her credit to that. So shout outs to Lacey Evans for that. I love her character. Like I said, I just don't think she can wrestle. But in this match, I think she was very good. As far as Sasha Banks goes, I think Jesse, as you were saying, Sasha putting the title around Bayley was kind of a reminder to her. You kept this title because of me, and I can take that title from you whenever I want.
Yep.
I think it was just a reminder, because you saw Bayley just like, oh shoot, what's going on with this? And there's always been a little tension between them, because Sasha is screwed over Bayley. You know what I'm saying? So I think the storyline's coming, but I think this is a slow turn. We're not going to get a brand split because of what's going on right now, so we're going to get to see this thing develop.
Well, I'm going to add to that. At the very end, when Bayley was saying, nobody can touch me, I'm untouchable, I thought, and Sasha outside of the ring, I thought she was going to jump back inside the ring and attack Bayley and turn heel too. But
I did too.
That's
what I was expecting that the entire time. So I guess it was kind of shocking when she helped her. Here's what I think. The match was whatever. I think we're all waiting for Sasha Banks and Bayley to do something. I think it's just setting up for something at SummerSlam. I just think it's going to be a slow build to the turn from Sasha Banks, and eventually will be Sasha Banks winning the Women's Championship. So yeah, it's inevitable that these two will combine. Maybe not inevitable that Sasha Banks will win the title, but SummerSlam weekend is when Sasha Banks and Bayley had their best match ever. And that was an NXT TakeOver, really the first, true NXT TakeOver show. One of the best matches, if not the best match ever at an NXT TakeOver with Sasha Banks and Bayley. And to do it again on SummerSlam weekend, to have them have a match, I think that's almost better than having it at WrestleMania. So I'm totally fine with nothing really happening here. They made Lacey Evans look good in this match, so you're right. Maybe they'll have something go with her and Lacey or her and Bayley, or they'll do the brand split like you were saying, RKJ. I forgot about that might happen, and so it'll be interesting. But I'm looking for SummerSlam, Sasha Banks and Bayley. I'd love for that to happen. All right, moving on. The next match is the Fiend Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. And John Cena starts this match by coming out to his theme music in the empty performance center. I was thoroughly disappointed. I was like, there's no fucking way they're about to do this in front of no fans. Oh, and was I wrong? Hey, does anybody want to explain what happened? Okay, RKJ, please explain to us what happened in the Firefly Funhouse match.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
How do you know?
I just want to let people know that. See, I wanted to start off this podcast honestly by talking about that match, and Nick had to stop it because I was so crazy about the match. Okay, so look, here's what
big time.
The match. It was like a bad acid trip, like multiple people have said. I can't. It's hard to explain. It went through multiple situations. You had John Cena with dumbbells lifting it up so much it was like he was masturbating with it. You had a situation going on where the witch was attracted to what he was doing. You had a situation going where he was coming out like Hulk Hogan NWO. You had him cutting a promo of Bray Wyatt. You had Bray Wyatt going back to his old character. The old character back in 2014.
The Cajun accent
accent Bray Wyatt, which I really loved. I love that one. You had him recreating in his old gear as John Cena against Kurt Angle when he came out in 2002 when he debuted. There's so much stuff that happened in this matchup. He was NWO, just like they had Eric Bischoff. I don't know what was going on. I have no clue. I felt like somebody took a bad acid trip or something and decided we're going to edit this matchup. We're going to come up with something, and they did, and they put it on TV. It just doesn't make any sense. It was entertaining. It was just really weird. I just think Bray Wyatt's in the Illuminati. I think Bray Wyatt's in the Illuminati.
Well said.
I'm not worried about anybody but Bray Wyatt now.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you this. I loved it. I wanted you to explain it, RKJ, because I knew you'd do a better job because I knew you'd go kind of crazy with it, and you were so excited to talk about it too. I loved this because Number one, it took me away again from the empty arena, which was already going to make this 5 times better, right? And I understood what was going on. The Hulk Hogan NWO shit, no idea. 0 idea with John Cena doing the guitar on the NWO belt in WCW. I have 0 idea what that was about. RKJ, can you explain this to me, please?
I got a reference. People are referencing John Cena at this stage of his career to Hulk Hogan and how Hulk Hogan went to WCW. They want John Cena to turn heel. They want him to be like a Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan NWO. So that's what John Cena was doing right there. That's exactly what John Cena was doing right there. He was nodding to that. All of these little Easter eggs.
Ooh, so see, now I understand it even more. That actually makes sense. Yeah, I understood it was the scope of John Cena's career, the fact that Bray Wyatt thinks John Cena is burying him, which is, I'll tell you this, if you're a fair weather fan, you would have no idea about any of this, because a lot of times you don't even know where John Cena came from. You don't know about the Thugonomics gimmick if you're younger. It's just, it was, for me, I liked it as a hardcore fan that's done my research the last 3 or 4 years on the WCW stuff, on the old John Cena stuff, on everything really about John Cena's career, being a fan of his since I started watching. John Cena was one of the first people I ever watched in a wrestling ring, period. So I've always had an affinity to him. And so I understood it. I like I said, we all wanted Bray Wyatt to win this match, and he did, and rightfully so. He got his revenge on John Cena. There was no reason for John Cena as a part-timing actor to come in and win this match. It was entertaining to me, and but I can also understand why some people wouldn't have liked it, because they wouldn't have understood it. It's just as simple as that. What did you guys think? I really got your guys' thoughts necessarily on this.
I was watching with my brother, and yes, RKJ, man, it looked like those messages about him, John Cena being NWO, wearing the NWO colors, it looked like something, because for us fans, there were a lot of fans who wanted him to turn heel, and that was like kind of like the version that we've been wanting for John Cena to do. And we also talked about this with my brother. He was telling me about how the Saturday night's main event part, it was supposed to be somewhat of a like a message saying that this is we have built him as this generation's Hulk Hogan, and how John Cena became when he signed with WWE with Vince McMahon, and then he did the ruthless aggression. When he kept shouting ruthless aggression, it was kind of saying you sold your soul to Vince McMahon or to WWE. So I guess that's a way of a message for that to happen. And then it was it definitely looked like it was some sort of like a horror LSD acid trip movie, but it was entertaining. It felt like a long promo. I kind of felt like there was going to be a match involved, like there was going to be a wrestling match involved already, and it did towards the end. And it looked like it was like Bray Wyatt was really screwing with John Cena. It looked like he was really screwing with his head. And at first I didn't know what Bray Wyatt was gonna say, like when he said about how I'm gonna expose you. I'm going to expose you, that the fraud that you are. And I was like wondering, how is this gonna happen? And then that's when he started having all these stories and these timelines of John Cena unfold, from Thugonomics to him win the championship, and then going to heel mode, quote unquote heel mode, and then being the current guy that he is, and just start unfolding the things that he's done, and then also taunting him with some of the things like ruthless aggression, Nikki Bella's, you can look but you can't touch song. Yeah, it was like, oh, this guy's definitely pushing John Cena's buttons. He's definitely pushing his buttons. It was it was entertaining, and Bray Wyatt finally got his revenge. And who knows if John Cena's gonna come back or have his revenge? But I highly doubt it, because I think that now Bray Wyatt, he kind of like recovered himself from that match in Saudi Arabia. So now Bray Wyatt, it looks like now he's on the hunt for gold. If he did, in a way, in his shape or form, finally had his nightmare, his way of trying to clear up his past and trying to seal the deal by saying, I got rid of John Cena. My past is behind me. I'm going forward, and I'm going on to bigger and better things. That's just my take.
Jesse, your thoughts. Firefly Funhouse match. Are you still tripping?
Looks like you're like on an acid trip for sure. I mean, like I was a little bit confused at the very beginning, and then when I started seeing the promos and everything else, kind of going back to Cena's career, it was a little bit of nostalgia. And then towards the end of the match, that's when Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was kind of already messing with Cena's head. To be honest, I expected a little bit more, but I enjoyed it. There's not much else I could put into words right now, but that's all I can say, I guess.
Can I just say that puppet saying that's such good shit was just genius?
Dude, I cannot believe that they allowed that to be in there. I cannot believe Vince. I honestly think they gave him a cut of it that didn't have that part in it. That was so good. Bray, like John Cena can do whatever the hell he wants, bro. That's what I'm saying. As a fan that knew about every single one of those things, it was entertaining for me. Like, and I've been about John Cena fan. I've always loved the old school John Cena too, and I've always thought that this myth of him burying people was kind of fake too. So I got behind Cena in some ways of like, I almost want to defend the guy. Like, I don't think he's that way. I think he was just booked that way. There's nothing he could do about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of, if you go back, there really isn't a lot of times where John Cena completely buried people like others did. I mean, you talk about Hulk Hogan and a lot of the other stars back in the day, they buried people legitimately and held people down. I don't think John Cena really ever did that. So as a fan of John Cena's, I enjoyed kind of watching that and cheering for him to somehow win that match, even though it was inevitable he wasn't going to win. But entertaining in the least. And I hope that John Cena sticks around. I hope that John Cena does more with WWE because it's always gold when he comes back. It's always really entertaining.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, all right, moving on. The final match of our review, the final match of WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate. Guys, some of us predicted that Brock Lesnar might win this match. Some of us thought that might happen because they're going to give Drew his moment in front of fans. That didn't happen. And Drew won the WWE Championship, with multiple Claymore kicks. Defeats Brock Lesnar clean. Do any of us have a problem with this?
To be honest, no, not really. I mean, it is definitely his moment because prior to this, I mean, he was in the business and then he got fired and then returned. I think this is the return of. This is like a redemption of it. This is him redeeming himself and able to actually call himself a champion. Because in the past, they said that he had potential. He was sick and tired of hearing that. And tonight, he actually took out Brock Lesnar and took him a couple of F5s. I mean, he's so resilient. God, if after the first two, I would have been out, gassed out, dude. I would have been KO'd. But he got back up and did a couple of Claymores, and boom, he had him.
I don't have anything wrong. I mean, I know we were really high on the part where, he should have had his moment when he had the belt. If he is going to get the belt, then it should be in front of fans because the fans would definitely make everything more emotional for Drew McIntyre and seeing how he's worked so hard from the very beginning, trying to get the title shot from the very beginning of his career and then getting fired and then coming back, his redemption story. That would have been great. But nonetheless, I'm still happy for the man. I'm still happy for Drew McIntyre, him winning the championship. I mean, it is his moment. I think every single wrestler right now after WrestleMania, they all wished that there was fans. They all wished that they would be in the arena, sold out, having pyro, all the entrances, having these matches in front of everybody that they can see. I think they all wished it. Same for Drew. I know Drew would have loved to have everybody in the audience, his family, everybody. So, but I just gotta look at it as a way of not having any fans. Drew McIntyre is the champion, not the Universal Champion, but the WWE Champion, the main WWE Championship. So that means a lot for Drew McIntyre, and that belt does mean a lot for him, and that does make him, the go-to guy, since he is the top guy in the company. Because once you hold the WWE Championship, you are the top guy. So that's just my thing. Nonetheless, I'm still happy for Drew.
Yeah. Okay, Jay. Similar thoughts, Jesse and Eric?
Yeah, match was really short. I guess we can thank Randy Orton and Edge for that. But the match was way too short, but I mean, it was booked well. My biggest thing was that Firefly Funhouse before it was so crazy that I kind of didn't get into the match until the match was over. So I would have liked it to be at least another 5-10 minutes longer. I don't know why Brock Lesnar matches are so short unless that's just a situation where he's like, I'm not going to wrestle any longer than what I have to. I hate that it's a finisher fest, like 3 finishers from Brock, 3 finishers from the other opponent. But overall, it was a solid matchup, and shout outs to Drew McIntyre for winning the WWE Championship, man. And I like that little thing at the end where he looks to the camera and says, thank you, and this is impossible without you. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I enjoyed the Firefly Funhouse, so it actually got me more excited for this match. It for all intents and purposes, it gave me that big fight feel. And in some ways, it's because I didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't know if they were going to keep it on Brock, and they were going to give Drew his chance later, or if they were going to give it to Drew and it was going to be this cool moment. And it ended up being this cool moment. I personally think the reason this match was short, number one, you're right, maybe other matches going long could have caused it to do that, but I think they may have filmed these matches in different sequences, so I would have a hard time thinking that they forced any match to go low on time. I think it was more to have to do with that they would have had more planned with fan reactions, and they just said, you know what, we can get just as much done in 5 minutes as we could in 10, and there's no fans, so let's just get this over with. Drew, here's your title. And Brock did a good job selling. We always give Brock some shit, but he always comes out for the big matches. And even without fans, I was really impressed that Brock seemed to care about this, even though it was only 5 minutes. And to see Drew, after he said the stuff to the camera, it looked like he was legitimately excited as a person could get with nobody around. And I'm sure him and Brock, once they went off the air, embraced, gave each other big hugs. I'm sure there was some emotions flowing, and I'm excited to see what he says on Monday and what is in the future, like who's his next contender and stuff like that. It's always nice when we have a brand new champion that we have not seen before defend the title, and I'm hoping he keeps it for a while. But I loved it, and I was skeptical on if that was going to happen, but it ended up happening, and it was a good both endings to each night of WrestleMania were satisfying. And I went by it, was like, all right, that wasn't that bad. If you would have had Goldberg and Braun Strowman end it, I would have been like, fuck this. I'm not even watching night 2. Right? If you would have had Edge and Randy Orton end night 2, I would have been like, that was a little lackluster. That wasn't as good. But WWE did a good job in the worst of circumstances ending the WrestleMania as well, which they haven't done in a lot of recent years. So I was impressed that they kind of, they did all that. But it's still the worst WrestleMania of all time for me. But they ended well, at least, right?
I mean, look, overall, I actually like the 2-day event. It was actually better than I thought it would be.
True.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought it was going to be, a shit show, to be honest. And no, they actually did. They did a better job than we all thought, and I actually give them the thumbs up, and give them props where it's due, because they didn't have to do this, to be honest. They could have just all stayed home and stayed in quarantine, but they all stuck it out and say, hey, we're just gonna get through this, and make this event the best it is as it, at a situation like this,
Yeah. As much as heat there is for Strowman and Goldberg, I'd rather watch that match than watch the fucking news, than watch
That's
what's
a good
happening
point.
because I hear from both parties how it's like skyrocketing, these whole news, conspiracy theories, and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, you motherfuckers are not giving me anything positive. You guys are not giving me no solution. I'd rather watch Strowman and Goldberg 50 times over this whole freaking pandemic.
Well, you would have had to watch it 50 times. The match was so short. So you're right about that.
Yeah, so that's just my thing. Like,
that's a good point. RKJ, I'm gonna give you your thoughts here real quick second. That is a good point that this did satisfy my need for some entertainment with Owens jumping off the thing, a couple spots in Edge and Randy Orton, the Firefly Funhouse, the Boneyard match, Drew McIntyre winning. There was some satisfaction and there was some good shit in this WrestleMania. And so I come off doing this podcast. I was positive. I came off both WrestleManias when I went to go do whatever I did right after. I was like, that wasn't that bad. So one other thing to say is we were kind of trying to figure out what was happening with the talent. We did hear a report today that said that the talent was excited to film this WrestleMania. Nobody was really down in the dirts. We had heard rumors that talent did not want this to happen, and they wanted to postpone, but now we have a report came out today that said most, if not all, the talent that did contribute was excited and was looking at it as a something that they wanted to do rather than the reports that we heard that they did not want it to happen. So that's good to hear, and it makes more sense now that they put their bodies on the line and did all that stuff for us these last 2 days. RKJ, why don't you finish off the podcast with your thoughts on WrestleMania and just all that, and then send it off, brother.
Yeah. Look, the world today is crazy, right? I mean, even this week they're telling us it's going to be the worst week we've ever had in terms of deaths and coronavirus cases. Yeah. But at least WrestleMania gave us 2 nights to just get our minds off of that and focus on something positive, which is entertainment and things that we love. And it brought normalcy back into our lives. For the first time in a long time, I got up in the morning. I was excited. I was ready to go. I got off of work early and I got home and I watched WrestleMania Night 1. And there's something always special about WrestleMania. We talk a lot of crap about it sometimes because it's rightfully so. Yeah. Sometimes the WWE books this crap and it's garbage. But, WrestleMania is still WrestleMania. There is something special about it. There is something magical about it. In a year like this, Vince didn't have to continue it, but he did anyway. For whatever reason he did it for, he continued it. And we don't know how long it's going to be before we get fans. So we got to accept the fact that this could be the new normal. We got to accept the fact that they're going to have to adjust. And we're going to see a lot of things that we're not going to like. But as the time goes along, I expect them to get better, just like I expect AEW to get better and adjust until we get fans. But, I think this is just a matter of us sticking together. Overall, was WrestleMania perfect? No. There's a lot of spots that weren't good, but I think it was much better than what I anticipated it coming into. I was very negative when I came into it, but, I left with a smile on my face, especially with that Firefly Funhouse. Like, I still can't believe it. And it was great. So I hope everybody likes it. I hope that you guys continue to check out our content. Like, comment, and subscribe. But as always, raise a glass in the sky and salute the ring generals.
It's the sauce, Alex Zayn, and you're watching the Ring General Podcast. Turn this man around. Subscribe, like, and comment.
But raise a glass in the sky and salute the ring generals.
That's right.